Hi, my name is Rachel Zaleski. I'm your host, and this is the Zaleski Sports Show, where our sports expert Jason Zaleski and I will be discussing sports information all around the local, regional, and national areas. We will be discussing informational, educational, and easy to digest sports information for all levels sports fans. And we will be using visual aids, statistics, and hands-on demonstrations if need be. Please go ahead, stay tuned, and enjoy the show. First, we want to just kind of discuss a little bit more about this March Madness going on. So we are in the very beginning stages. We're so excited for it. Jason, have you filled out your bracket yet?
Well, I filled out my bracket. Do you have your dancing shoes on?
I do. I can't wait.
Yeah, well, teams are dancing. We've got 64 teams in the field, and they are all dancing. And everybody's having a good time so far. We've had 2 games the last night on Tuesday as play-in games, 2 games that'll happen tonight as play-in games. That's just the hors d'oeuvres. The main course, of course, starts on Thursday, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Now, there's a lot of websites out there that you can go by and read, and some resources to check into to find how to pick your games. Later on in the show, in our Sports 101 section, we're going to give a little bit more strategy, a little more tips or tricks that might be helpful. But for now, just from my observations, I went online. I found that there's the Las Vegas odds, that a lot of really smart people go into making those decisions on that first round of games. And so they suggest that maybe following that would be a good way of picking games. Another route or another option would be to go with injuries. So Oregon, their Chris Boucher, I think is the way you say his name. He's the second best player. He's going to be out of the season with his injury of a torn ACL. So maybe not wanting to go with Oregon. And then also Florida's one of their best defenders. His name is John Egbunu, and he also has a torn ACL. So that might hurt them later on or even in the beginning. So a couple things to kind of keep track of. I know Jason's probably going to go over his Final Four predictions. I'll tell you my Final Four predictions. And again, I don't really have a lot of the sports expert behind me, but I went ahead and put Duke, Gonzaga, Michigan, and Butler as my Final Four. So there are a lot of, I'm not going to tell you who I think is going to win yet, maybe next week. But go ahead, Jason, tell us what you think.
Well, the fun thing about this time of year and brackets is there are no 2 brackets the same. As a matter of fact, talking about filling out your brackets, we found this out just a couple days ago. A mathematician went through and calculated what it would take to pick a perfect bracket, and he calculated that to be a 1 in 9.2 quintillion chance. What does quintillion mean? It means forget about it. It's not happening. All right.
Too many.
So Rachel mentioned some of the Vegas insiders and some of the other folks that you can check out as far as how to fill out your bracket. I'll show you mine. This is your shortcut to filling out a perfect bracket. Okay, that's it. Now it's history. Now listen, yeah, there's a lot of fun ways to pick a bracket. I know we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. For me, I watch the games during the year. I maybe even attend a couple games, and that's about the most of it. When it comes to tournament time and filling out the bracket, anything goes, anything can and will happen. So with that being said, Final Four, what I'm looking for is Duke, Arizona, North Carolina, and Kansas to be in the Final Four this year. All powerhouse teams, all familiar names in the NCAA tournament. And I think familiar names and big-time programs will again win the day. And I've got Kansas and Arizona in the finals, with Kansas beating Arizona 72-67. That's how I see the tournament rounding out this year. Next week, after we get the tournament field whittled down to 16 teams, we'll bring the whiteboard back out and we'll give some in-depth analysis on all 16 of those teams.
Yeah, well, since he went ahead and told you who he thought was going to win, I'll tell you, I put as my final 2 teams is Gonzaga and Michigan, and I have Gonzaga winning the tournament. Now, don't tell me what I think the points are going to be, but I just told you the winner, so that's great.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, when you're the Zags and you've got Shimmick patrolling the inside, you've got as good a chance as anybody.
Absolutely, thank you. I appreciate that. That means they're going to win. So, speaking of winners, we are going to move on into our regional sports, which is we're going to talk about Wisconsin Badgers. Now, they've won 3 of their last 4 games. Their most previous game with a loss being against Michigan last Sunday, 71-56.
Yeah, so they've won 3 of their past 4 games. Into the tournament they went after beating Minnesota on Senior Day. They did win the first 2 games of the tournament and then fizzled out as I thought they would against Michigan. Michigan's one of the hottest teams in the country right now, so if you haven't picked Michigan in your bracket, I would highly suggest taking a second look at Michigan. I just think they're a real hot team right now. The Badgers, just as they have for the past 3 weeks, still have trouble getting shots off. They still have trouble passing the ball. They're doing a lot of dribbling. A lot of indecision is going on right now. And opposite of teams in the past, Wisconsin is not getting to the foul line as often as they are accustomed to, and they are not making their free throws like they should be, and they are committing way too many fouls. So caution flag on Wisconsin. I did not pick them. I did pick Virginia Tech, and I'd recommend that going forward. Of course, we'd love to see the Badgers do well. Being a realist, I'm just not seeing it right now.
Yes, the Badgers play Virginia Tech on Thursday night, tomorrow night at 8:40 p.m. on CBS. So make sure you tune in to see who wins. Marquette, now, they just recently lost against Seton Hall last Thursday, 82-76. And they play again against South Carolina Gamecocks on Friday at 8:50 p.m. on TBS. So what do you think with this matchup? Well,
what I think is last week we told the folks that Marquette should be a number 10 seed, and that's exactly where they were selected as a 10. I think they've got a decent matchup against South Carolina. I think the way Marquette plays, they'll have a lot of good success. I think it'll be a higher scoring game. I've actually got Marquette winning that game. And that'll be a nice thing for Marquette to win. I wouldn't pick them after that, though, and I haven't. So, again, it'll be fun to watch our Wisconsin teams in the tournament. We wish them all the best of luck, and we'll see what happens. Right there with everybody else, just watching and waiting.
On bated breath. It's going to be a good matchup. So going into the Sports 101 section, we kind of just discussed briefly, new information for the newer sports fan. So, Jason, my question to you is, if you're a first-time person that's picking games for these brackets, what are the strategies that you should be looking for? What are some tips and tricks to kind of look out for? Should you be that person that scurries on the internet and does all this research at the last minute? What are your thoughts?
Well, so my thoughts are, if you're that first-time picker, I wouldn't do any research at all. I would just have fun with it. The first rule I'll give the first-time picker is the same rule that I gave our kids when they started filling out brackets. It is illegal to pick a 16 seed to beat a 1. All right? It's never happened in the history of the tournament, and it's not going to happen this year either. So in that 1 versus 16, there's 4 of those games in the bracket. Take the 1. You'll guarantee yourself 4 wins. So at least you'll come away with something. After that, I think just have fun with it. A lot of folks use nicknames for the teams, team colors, or just teams that you've heard of before. And I think this year above, like many other years, but especially this year, the teams that you've heard of are the teams that are going to do well this year. So if you look at that bracket and it's a team that you've heard of, go ahead and pick them. And have some fun. You never know. You might just win.
Yeah, I also heard you shouldn't necessarily pick with your heart. I mean, if you really want to try to win or do well in these brackets, you should try to use your intelligence with it. So I know a lot of people are really rooting for UCLA, the Ball brother, one of 3 that is doing really well, helping that team advance. But it doesn't necessarily mean all that hype is going to bring them further into the tournament. So just keep that in mind. So speaking of great players and winners, excuse me, we have the Loyal Greyhound girls basketball are like totally stomped all their competition. They just steadily worked hard all the way up the ladder, and they totally brought on a beautiful state victory against the Milwaukee Academy of Science, 74-61. So woohoo, great victory, ladies.
Yeah, well, Greyhounds, again, doing Greyhound things, and they raced through the competition this year on their way to a state championship. They got down to Green Bay last week on Friday. They beat Bangor 44-24, so they raced right past them. In the second half, Rachel, the Greyhounds were down by 13 points at one point in the second half, And then just like Greyhounds do, they raced right past all the way to victory, end up winning by 13 points. So a 26-point turnaround for the Greyhounds. And now they've got a gold ball to put in their trophy case.
Ooh, a fancy gold ball. Imagine your fancy gold tie.
Thank you.
So good job, ladies. Moving on, we did see that the Tigers, Marshfield Tigers, win against the Oshkosh North. Boys, excuse me, thank you. Boys, last Thursday, they lost 67-54 in Appleton. They finished their season 16-9. The boys did play really hard. I know a lot of kids here locally drove all the way over to Appleton to support them. Sorry that they didn't make it, but try hard and play hard for next time.
Yeah, Marshfield had a great season, and we'll kind of wrap up the great seasons here. But Marshfield had a good season, something now for the juniors, sophomores, and the rest of the underclassmen that played to build on for next year. Like Rachel said, they did go down to Oshkosh North, the #1 ranked team in the state, so it was a big challenge there. Tyrese Halliburton, the big-time prospect down there in Oshkosh, and so they got that experience, though, playing against a quality team like that. We'll see what they can do next year.
Yeah, good try, guys. So Stratford Tigers boys beat Neillsville Warriors 63-48 at DC Everest on last Thursday, and then lost against the Manitowoc Roncalli 50-32 in Wapaka Saturday afternoon. So Roncalli proved to be the tough, aggressive team, or more tough, aggressive team. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, I think it's the same story for the Stratford Tigers. They had a real great season, a lot there for the juniors and underclassmen to learn from going forward to next year. I know Stratford had some hot starts and they had some slow starts, and I think that may be what happened here in the tournament. Big win over Neillsville. And then that defeat against Roncalli, which is a good team. We'll watch those guys from Manitowoc now as they go to state and see what they can do. But good job to both the Tigers, Marshfield and Stratford.
Absolutely. You guys are really good at what you're doing, but just work hard over the summer, see what we can do for next year.
That's right.
Moving on, we're going to talk about Marshfield Columbus Dons. They beat Alman Bancroft last Thursday in Stevens Point, 75-62. Then went ahead and beat Gresham 69-62 on Saturday. And wow, they are super on fire. Good job, Columbus Dons. We actually did catch up with the coach earlier this week, so we'll go ahead and play that clip.
Hi, this is Rachel from the Zaleski Sports Show, and we are here at the Columbus High School for the Columbus Dons during their last big practice before they head off to Madison, Wisconsin for state. We are very excited for these boys. We can't wait. They're actually doing one of their, like I said, their last practice. We're about ready to head in there and speak to Coach K here shortly and find out how everything's going and what to expect. Jason's going to be doing an exclusive interview with him, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching.
All right, guys, Jason Zaleski here, Zaleski Sports Show, joined by Columbus boys basketball coach, Coach Konieczny. Coach, first thing, congratulations on your way to state after beating Gresham. How does that feel?
It feels great. I'm very happy for our players, especially our seniors, to know that they're going to end their careers on the Kohl Center floor. Pretty exciting stuff, and it's been very exciting for our school, our student body. The younger kids, especially the ones in our basketball program that were there Saturday and got to see the atmosphere and see what our seniors and juniors and high school players got to experience. So just very happy that we had this opportunity. Yeah,
a real tradition to look forward to, especially, like you said, for some of those younger kids.
It is, and we've gotten close a number of times, like 6 or 7, and that was our 3rd sectional final. I think our players really wanted to be the group that got it done, and they did, and they should be very proud of it.
Coach, what was going through your mind in the final minutes up there at the DC Everest gym on your way to victory, yet timeouts were called and game stoppages, and just watching that clock, what was going through your mind watching maybe the final 90 seconds of that game?
Well, the final 90, I was pretty worried that we were blowing it. They hit some threes and 33, somebody that really wasn't the focus of their offense for most of the season, hit 5 of them, and that wasn't in the scouting report. I thought we did a great job on 21 and 0-0, but all of a sudden he started dropping in threes when we were kind of helping off of him, and when he hit 5 or 6 in a row, we panicked a little bit offensively, and you could see us get a little bit tight. Turned it over a few times when we characteristically don't. And we're lucky that the clock ran out when it did. We really are, because Gresham was playing extremely well that last 10 minutes to cut it down to 6. The 5-point possession they had was a bad one when the kid hit 2 free throws, and then they tip out the 3rd free throw and he hits another 3. So a third of your lead is gone in about 2 seconds. And to our kids' credit, we had just enough free throws at the end and won a pretty intense game.
Yeah, Coach, as we talked about a couple weeks ago, after you beat Loyal here on this court that we're standing on, each round of the playoffs, the talent gets better, the competition gets better. Teams are just more evenly matched, and perhaps that's what you're staring at now as you look ahead to the Barneveld Eagles. 24-3, you'll play them down in the Kohl Center in Madison on Friday. What's the week of practice like leading into that game? What do you got scheduled for the week? We just finished Monday practice. What's next for the week?
We practiced here tonight. I thought we had a pretty good one. Try to bring the focus back to the task at hand, and not so much excitement from the state trip, just bring them back to reality, so to speak. Tomorrow we're going to practice over at the UW on a college-sized court, which I think will help us. We'll do something similar on Wednesday, practicing on a college court. On Thursday, we'll practice in the morning right away, and we'll leave on Thursday for the state tournament. We do have to get some shots up at Edgewood on Thursday night, which is very nice of them to let us do that. And Friday we play, and like you said, it's a team that's 24-3, and we've seen them on film, 3 or 4 different films, and they're very good. I would call them solid at every single spot, very disciplined. 3 or 4 kids that can score. Their leading scorer is at 13, and I think their 4th leading scorer is at 9. So we have our work cut out for us.
Yeah, definitely do, Coach. So semifinal game is the March 17th at 10:45. Coach, you've got 145 miles to travel to get down to the Kohl Center. The team from Barneveld, 32 miles. Any advantage or disadvantage in that type of travel arrangement?
I don't think so. I think that it's the Kohl Center, and we would travel 600 miles if that's what it took to get this opportunity.
Yeah.
Travel will not be an issue.
Good. Okay. The first game of the day is 9 o'clock. You could have had that draw. You did, like I just said before, you do have the 10:45 game. Was there any preference between the 2 morning games?
No. We just wanted to be there. The 10:45 game allows us to have our shoot around a little later on Thursday night, and it allows us to maybe sleep an extra half hour versus having to get up at 7 and head over. But we'll be there in time to watch that first game. Okay. And we'll head down at halftime just like we would for any regular season game with a JV game before it. And then hopefully we come to play.
Yeah, absolutely, and we're looking forward to watching you play, Coach. Coach, during the season, you've talked about opportunity. Grateful for opportunities as they come. Your next opportunity as a coach to go up against Coach Myers from Barneveld. He's over 600 wins in his career, mainly with the girls' team. He switched over to the boys' team just a couple of years ago. This may be his 2nd year with the boys. How does it feel? How was that opportunity to go up against that type of coach?
It's humbling. I mean, he has 700 some wins, I think, total, and he's a Hall of Fame coach. His son is a tremendous point guard. We watched them at state a year or 2 ago, I believe it was, and he's just a solid coach. He's going to have them extremely prepared. He's probably got 7 or 8 films broken down on us. And we're just going to have to compete. It's going to be a test of wills, so to speak. They're going to try to slow us down at times, try to run at times. They're going to mix up their defense, press us some. Their 2-3 zone is just fantastic the way it scrambles. So he's going to do a great job of preparing them. And it forces our coaching staff to know that we have to do the exact same thing. And I think our assistant coaches have worked extremely hard breaking down film already, making sure we had somebody taping every possible opponent this playoffs, including Barneveld. And I think we'll be ready as well. So it's a great opportunity for our program.
Sure. Coach, last question. You've mentioned it a couple of times. Barneveld on Saturday had 4 players in double digits, so that tells me they've got a nice, well-rounded offense, just like you do. What other challenges do you think you'll have on Friday?
Well, we have to be patient against their 2-3 zone. They scramble really well and close out really well. They contest every shot you take. And we have to find shooters defensively. Number 1 kind of stirs the drink, so to speak, for them. He's a very talented guard. 20 is a great scorer. And they got some real nice athletes in the starting 5 and off the bench. So all 8 guys that play for them are solid. We're not going to have 1 or 2 that we can help off of like we have a couple rounds this playoff sequence. So going to be a real solid opponent against us on Friday.
Yeah, very good. Coach, best of luck on Friday. Of course. All right, so again, the Dons play against Barneveld Eagles this Friday at 10:45 down at the Kohl Center in Madison. You can listen to the game by tuning in to WDLB 1450 AM, Channel 9 on TV. And you can go to the game, head down to the Kohl Center in Madison, buy tickets, and go on in and cheer the Dons. Have some fun.
So if you're not interested in doing anything sports related this weekend, we have other things that you can go to on Friday, St. Patrick's Day. You can wear your green and head over to Wausau to the Grand Theater. They have a group called the Young Irelanders who will be performing at 7:30. Tickets are still available. It's $25 per person. And then Saturday and Sunday in Rothschild, you can go to the Lawn, Garden, Home, and Recreation Show. Free admission, free parking, learn about home decor and outside of your house tips for the spring that's hopefully coming soon. That event's going to be happening Saturday from 10 to 6 and Sunday 11 to 4.
Okay,
So,
give some options. I know what I'll be doing.
So thank you everyone for watching. This has been the Zaleski Sports Show. I'm your host, Rachel Zaleski. You can catch us online at facebook.com. You can type in Zaleski Sports Show if you'd like to visit us on our page. Watch any of our videos. We do live broadcasts from some of these games. You should just go ahead and check those things out. Also, if you have any questions or comments, concerns, please drop us a line via email at zaleskisportshow@gmail.com, and we'd be happy to answer those for you. Thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic week.
Yeah, that's right.
See you next week.
Go Sports.